Hey everyone, I'm ZSH Plays and welcome back to Planet Wild. Today we're going to be building the Hoanib River Valley in Namibia, which is a really unique place. So let's jump straight into a blank map and get started. So I want to say a big thank you first of all to everyone who made suggestions for places that we can build in this series. Between the comments on the last episode and the Frontier forums, I've got a nice long list now of places to look at, and I want to give a big shout out to ED Wildlife, who came up with the idea for this episode. So the Hoanib River Valley is a seasonal river in the west of Namibia. So in their brief rainy season, it is a beautiful green environment full of wildlife. And then for the rest of the year, it's basically a desert. So it's pretty unique. And the valley is one of the last true wilderness areas in Namibia and one of the last settlements of desert elephants, along with many species of antelope, rhinos, giraffes, lions, and numerous other animals. So we're on a desert map here, as you can see. These big rock mountains in the background aren't ideal for this environment. They do have things like that in this part of Namibia, but not as extensive as they are here. They've just announced the next update of Planet Zoo, which is going to include loads of different maps, which is going to be amazing for this series. But I'd already finished this when that was announced, so we'll just have to live with slightly more rocky outcrops in the background that we would like. So let's get building. So the first thing I've done is to build up some more rocky outcrops of the kind of size that you would see more of in this part of Namibia. So smaller basically than the ones in the background of the map. So I've used the terrain tools to build those up, tried to make them look as realistic as I can. I think terrain work's probably the thing I'm least good at or worst at in Planet Zoo. But I've tried to sort of make them smooth at the sides and then flat on top, like you would see in real life. And then lots of work with the different textures, the rough rock textures there, and then smoother rock to the side, and then moving out to the desert. So I've decided to set this at the end of the rainy season. So the rains will have stopped now, but some of the water will still be there. So there'll be the remains of the river. There's a little bit of it that I've done here. Just trying to make the terrain really shallow. So if we look here, the water's so shallow you can't really get the camera underneath it. Just so it's like a sort of evaporated leftover pool. And then across here I'm going to make a deeper river that's still got more water in it. The whole landscape at the moment is pretty much sand still. I'm going to replace a big swathe of that with grass and soil, because that's how the environment looks in real life. So it just gets really lush and green during the rainy season and then goes back to being a desert for the rest of the year. So when it is rainy, these waterways, which I'm going to be filling in here, are absolutely packed with animals. It's like a really classic African scene with elephants, giraffe, antelopes, lions, etc., all converging on this part of the desert where all the water and the trees are. There is a lot of land to fill in here, as you can see. So I'm going to do what I did with the last episode and concentrate on a few different points that I really want to detail and make look really good. And then we're going to scatter a load of other elements over the entire map so it fits together as a whole, but the majority will be built in this bit down here. So let's move on to stage 2, where I'll get all the vegetation and grass in and start making this look nice. Alright, now we're starting to get somewhere. All the trees and vegetation are in, well, most of them anyway. I'm mainly using 3 types of tree and a few different types of bushes here. All of them are ones that you would find in the Hoanib, or look very much like ones that you would find in the Hoanib. Doing a lot of sinking them into the ground like this, so they don't look too the same. I know in the new update they are introducing random rotation when you place items, which is an option that you can turn on. So if you put down sort of 10 trees, each tree will be rotated slightly so they don't all look the same. That's going to be great because it takes a long time. It took ages to place all of these trees. They're all rotated, some of them are sunk down into the ground a bit so they're different heights, just to try and make it look different and interesting. We've got a lot more of the water in now that you can see. Coming down here, the remains of the river, and then it hits some rocks here, some special effects in there to simulate that, and then it goes down into this seasonal lake. So this is what most of the animals would be gathering around, and it is a bit deeper here, as you can see, and I think it gets a bit deeper further on as well. I've started putting in a few trees and some more rocks, etc., way off in the distance, so that the background looks better. But there's still a lot of work to do out here. Put some more rocky outcrops in as well. Lots of rocks everywhere to break up the terrain, and then progressing from long grass to shorter grass, then areas that are still sand covered, a bit further away from the water. Some dead trees, that's a big feature of the landscape in Namibia. My original idea was to recreate the dead fly, as it's called, which is an area in Namibia really famous for lots of blackened dead trees that were, I think they were killed in a drought like, I don't know, 400 or 500 years ago, and they're still there because that part of Namibia is so dry. They're just sort of, they're not fossilized, but they're on their way to getting that. It's a really famous part of Namibia. It turns up in a lot of music videos and things like that because it's such a cool backdrop. But these big old mesas in the background put pay to that idea, because apart from the dead trees, its main feature is the fact that there basically isn't a horizon. You can just see forever. It's just sand and dead trees forever. So I may recreate that in future once we get the new maps, because there's going to be a desert map with no background, or where the background are all sand dunes, if I understand it correctly. It's kind of bittersweet looking at this, to be honest, because I was actually supposed to be in Namibia last year. My girlfriend bought me a trip to South Africa and then a safari all the way through the Namib, the main desert in Namibia, which was going to be absolutely amazing, like 2 weeks just in the depths of Africa. I was very excited. I've been to Africa a couple of times, but nowhere near Namibia, and mainly in more populated places. But yeah, COVID, cheers COVID, thanks for that. That got cancelled. So we will rather be doing that at some point in the future. But for now, this is about as close to Namibia as I'm going to get. I've also built in the little campsite. We're always going to have a campsite in these builds. So this is the little setup from the last episode, the Flooded Forest. If you've not seen that, check that out. It's probably my favourite thing that I've ever built. So yeah, here we go. We've got the tent and the little campfire that I made. Jeep up in the background. One thing missing, of course, though, is animals. So we need to go and get those in. Now, with the last episode, I essentially just built null barriers around pretty much the entire map. Just lobbed a load of animals in. I don't want to do that with this one. It's going to be separated into distinct areas, and then I need to hide all the staff buildings and paths and things like that, so that this actually functions as a real map, and all the animals have their own area that they're in. So let's go and do that now. So this is starting to feel like Africa now. We've got our first animals in, some beautiful Gemsbok. So I'll show you how I've done this. So these guys and a load of the other animals that we're going to put in have a habitat which is surrounded entirely by this upside down elephant grass. This is a little trick that somebody, I don't know who actually, came up with a while ago. Might have been just Goron, but yeah, you can put upside down elephant grass in, lower it to just below the surface of the ground, and place it down, and the hitboxes of the animals mean that they cannot walk through it. So you can see this whole area here It's completely safe, no escape notices. But if we turn this off, you can't see any barriers at all. So that is a really, really useful trick. You can use it in zoos as well. Obviously it's incredibly useful for making things like this, but you can also use it to make sort of Hagenbeck panoramas and things like that in your zoos. All these staff buildings and stuff are over here, so I've made another rocky outcrop to hide it. Done a lot more detailing on this one. Still need to sink some of that elephant grass down a bit more. But yeah, I've done a lot more detailing on this one. You won't see it that much because it's sort of at the back of where the animals are. But this is hiding the staff buildings that we need. I don't have any keepers or vets or anything like that at this point, just a couple of caretakers wandering around. And we've got a trade centre, a keeper hut and a staff room in there to keep them vaguely happy. And then this path here goes into these rocks which are hiding the keeper gate. And then this is the actual habitat. So it's pretty big. There's going to be a lot of animals in here, but I don't want them all sort of bunched up together, so I've made a really big habitat. Obviously we're in sandbox mode, so I can just turn off all the animal welfare and things like that. Don't need to feed them or anything, or have any enrichment items lying about, nothing to spoil the natural look. I've made a few of these as well, just sort of collections of bushes and dead branches and things like that, which is based on a few photos that I used for my research for this. This is a second habitat that joins the first. It goes out into the lake, and then there's going to be another one behind this at the back. There's also going to be animals over here in another habitat. I want some lions over here, so they're going to be sort of on this side of the river, probably laying around sleeping like they do, and then all the rest of the animals will be over here. So let's put the rest of the animals in here now. Alright, so this is the last bit of work to be done here. The lake is now stocked with flamingos, and this giraffe is just hanging about up here. I've used the same upside down elephant grass trick here as well, along with some reeds, so you can see it actually looks kind of like weeds or reeds rather itself when you place it underwater. So a few bits of it are poking up, which doesn't bother me. And then we've got some reeds as well, just to keep the flamingos in here. I don't want them wandering off. I'm trying to avoid, I made a few changes. I'm trying to avoid having all the animals sort of bunched up together, so it looks like there's too many of them, so it looks like they've just been placed there, if you see what I mean. So I'm keeping flamingos and one of the giraffes here, and then we have elephants and another giraffe over here, and then we've got ostriches, springbok, another elephant, and the Gemsbok that we had over there, and then we've got some lions in here as well. A couple of animals that they've eaten here, and then round here I've basically deleted pretty much everything and fired all the staff. So the buildings are still there because they're hidden in the rock, so that doesn't bother me, but all the staff and all the paths are gone, so there's basically nothing to spoil the view. No matter where you are, you can just get a sort of glimpse of something that looks like Namibia in real life, I hope. Maybe in a year's time I'll be able to tell you how accurate this is with more certainty. So that is that's the build done. Let's get into some cinematics and see it properly. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Let's take a look. Here we are. The Planet Wild campsite is set up. It's early morning here in the Hoanib River Valley. Let's go take a look. Yeah, this is my favourite part of making these environments. I love being able to fly around and see the animals interacting with them. And the lighting and graphics in this game are so good. It's always a pleasure. This environment was actually a lot harder to make than the flooded forest, as you can't just fill the map with water and trees, which automatically looks good. You actually have to put a bit of work in. I really hope you guys are happy with it. As always, let me know what you think in the comments below. I always read all of them. Now, next episode, one of you guys suggested making a South African coastline. I'm very tempted to use the sea lions we're getting in the new DLC as stand-ins for fur seals to create that, as they look very similar. Please keep adding your suggestions in the comments. I love reading them, and next time maybe I'll make your habitat. Thank you for watching as always, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.